Hi friends and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hello. My name's George Agambar and I'm a UK music producer. Today's video is all about how to get the best vocal performance. We're going to be looking at how we can advise an artist prepares for the studio, what to do when they arrive, and what to look out for when recording. So make sure you stay tuned and hit the subscribe button and notification bell for new videos every Wednesday. And things will never be the same when I hear your name since you kissed me in the rain. There are many things that can go wrong with a vocal recording. Some of these things processing can fix, and some of them it can't. The vocal performance of a recording is something processing can't fix, and that's why it's so important that we get the best performance out of the singer on the day. The key to getting the best vocal performance is preparation, making sure the artist is comfortable, and addressing any pitching and performance problems in the recording stage. Let's begin by looking at how we can advise an artist to prepare for recording. There are four main things. Number 1. Rest. The singer should have a well-rested voice. It puts us and them in the best position for recording. I would not advise playing a gig or singing for more than 2 hours the night before a session. Like any muscle, your voice needs time to rest and recover. Number 2. Eat a good diet beforehand. A singer's vocals are affected by their diet. Things to avoid are processed sugars and dairy. These both increase the mucus around our throats. Alcohol and caffeine. It's unprofessional to come to a studio drunk or hyper. It won't help your creativity and certainly not your productivity. They also dry out our throats. And carbonated drinks, because no one wants to be passing gas in the middle of a vocal take. Number 3. Be familiar with the song. The singer should know the song's melody, lyrics and structure. Advise the singer to bring a lyrics sheet into the studio. It may be seen as unprofessional, but it's really not. It covers all eventualities. Under pressure, we tend to forget things, so bring a lyrics sheet just in case. And number 4, have an end vision for the song. The singer shouldn't be going into the studio not knowing what they want to achieve in the session. This is likely to waste studio time. It's part of our job to discuss with them what they can achieve in the session, and we'll talk about that a bit more later on. But the singer should have an idea about how they want the final vocals to sound and if they want any harmonies or any backing vocals. So that's how we can help an artist prepare for the studio. But now let's have a look at what we can do. There are also 4 main things that we can do as engineers to prepare for a recording session with a singer. And these things will help us make the most of our time with them. Number 1, get to know the artist. We want to do this about a week before the session. From their social media, we can normally learn how experienced they are, how long they've been doing music, what kind of music they play, and so what genre of music we're likely to be recording. If they've recorded professionally before, will they have an understanding of the process, or will they be completely new to it? If they play an instrument. If they do play an instrument, they're more likely to have a basic knowledge of music theory. We can also see if they have any videos, and these can be really helpful because from videos we can learn about a singer's vocal tone, about any common problems they have when singing, and about their microphone technique. And all of these factors may affect our microphone choice later on. Number 2, talk to the artist. A phone call can be so useful, and again we'll want to be doing this about a week before. We can use this opportunity to ask the artist what their end vision is. How do they want the vocals to end up sounding? What are their expectations of the day? We can then manage these expectations and let the singer know if their vision is realistic with the time and resources they have. We should also explain how they may have to sing the same parts over and over again for comping purposes and for vocal doubles. Then we need to make sure that they know what's going to happen on the day, what's going to happen when they arrive, what happens in terms of vocally warming up, and how the session's likely to run. And then we just need to make sure that the singer knows how best to prepare for the session, and we need to ask them to send over any mixes or backing tracks that they're wanting to record to. Number 3, listen to the mix. We want to do this a few days before. We're listening out for any problems with the track. For example, any spikes in the volume level, making sure the track actually plays and isn't a corrupted file, and making sure that it is possible to record a main vocal over. There's not already a main vocal line in there. If we do this a few days before, it gives us time to sort out any problems with the mix or ask for another track. And number 4, prepare the studio. Organise a time with your singer to come in to record. It's never best to record vocals first thing in the morning. Most singers will need until at least mid-afternoon to warm up their vocals fully. Think about your microphone choice. It's no good trying out 20 different microphones on the same singer. Choose 2 or 3 that you think are going to work best and go from there. Turn on all your equipment early, and this means that if something doesn't turn on or something goes wrong, we have time to problem solve. And do a test recording. Make sure that there is no problems with your signal path from microphone to DAW. So now we should be very prepared and ready for our artist in the studio. When an artist gets into the studio, it's part of our job to make sure they feel comfortable and settled. We need to offer a good customer experience. So when they arrive, go and greet them as soon as possible. Don't leave them feeling neglected and not sure what's going on. I've seen some top studios leave their clients waiting for about 40 minutes in the reception area all alone. And this makes them feel, 1, daunted, and 2, unimportant. And that's the last thing we want to do. Offer the artist a drink. Ideally, a glass of room temperature, still water. We don't want the water being ice cold, as this chills the muscles and causes them to constrict, and so your singer won't be able to reach high notes. We don't want to offer hot drinks, as this increases the mucus around the throat. And again, we don't want to offer carbonated drinks, because we don't want anyone passing gas in the middle of recording vocals. Again, I've seen some top studios offer artists about to record cups of tea or coffee, and these are definitely a no-go for vocalists. They're a triple threat. They're hot, they contain caffeine, and they contain dairy. So just stick with room temperature, still water. After they've had a drink, ask them if there's anything else they need. This may be something as simple as just showing them where the toilets are, but they'll feel like they're being looked after. And finally, just go through the plans of the day. Reiterate what time they're recording, where they're recording, and who they're recording with. Doing all these things will make your artist feel less intimidated by the studio environment. They'll feel like they're having a personalised and attentive studio experience. Vocal warm-ups are a necessity. We should always make sure that the singer has warmed up before recording. Vocal warm-ups are good for 5 reasons. Number 1, they prevent vocal strain. It's like stretching before a marathon, but for your voice. If you don't stretch out these muscles, they're likely to become damaged, and vocal strain can lead on to even worse problems such as vocal nodules. Number 2, they increase vocal stamina. By warming up and stretching these muscles, they don't have as much strain on them, and so they don't tire out as easily. This gives us more time to record and capture the best vocal performance. Number 3, they improve vocal tone and ability. When the voice is loosened up a bit more and the muscles are working comfortably, it means that we can have access to the full abilities of the vocals, so we can achieve a better vocal tone and reach higher notes. Number 4, they give us an idea of a singer's voice. We may not have heard a singer sing before. When they are warming up, we may get an indication of their vocal characteristics and capabilities, such as their range, and this may affect our microphone choice later on. And number 5, they make the artist feel more comfortable. At the end of the day, artist comfort is the most important thing. Firstly, warming up helps them break the barrier and the awkward moment of singing in front of you for the first time. Believe me, for some singers this can be a big thing. And secondly, it means that they get used to the space they're going to be singing in. Singing in your bedroom and in an acoustically treated room feels very different. And so by warming up in the space they're going to record in, they get used to the feeling. Although vocally warming up can seem like a waste of studio time, I would highly recommend it. I think that the positives they bring are definitely worth that 10 to 20 minutes of studio time. Here are some examples of vocal warm-ups that you can lead an artist through. Our microphone choice is very important when achieving the best vocal take. They affect the tone and the character of the recording. We need to choose a microphone that best suits the vocalist in front of us and lends itself to the desired vocal tone. The standard for recording vocals is to use a large diaphragm condenser microphone, and this is because they capture detailed, rich, romantic sounds that make vocals sound good. Normally, large diaphragm condensers have a cardioid polar pattern. However, there are other polar patterns we can consider, and these are omnidirectional and figure of 8. These are good at picking up room noise, and so we'd use these if we have a nice sounding environment or we want some natural reverb on our vocals. For example, it may be nice to use one of these polar patterns when recording a jazz vocal. We aren't limited to a large diaphragm condenser though. We may want to consider using a small diaphragm condenser for a more natural cutting sound, and these will still give us the detail that a large diaphragm condenser would. And we may want to use a small diaphragm condenser for recording rock vocals. Okay, so I just wanted to show the difference in sound between a small and a large diaphragm condenser. So I've recorded a vocal using each type of microphone. Here's the large diaphragm condenser. I won't stay up waiting for you, 'cause you know how I adore you. Won't you love me too? And here's the small diaphragm condenser. I won't stay up waiting for you, 'cause you know how I adore you. Won't you love me too? You can hear that both microphones were very detailed, however the large diaphragm condenser gave us a much richer sound. Alternatively, if your singer is not getting along with condenser microphones, or the microphone isn't capturing the sound you really want, you can use a dynamic microphone. And there are 3 situations that I would personally opt for using a dynamic mic in. Number 1, if I wanted a less detailed, slightly duller sound. For example, if I was recording maybe indie vocals, or if I had a particularly shrill and bright singer. Number 2, if I wanted the sound of a live vocal. And this would be because dynamic microphones are the go-to microphones for live performance. And number 3, if it makes the artist more comfortable. Again, going back to that point, artist comfort is key. If an artist isn't used to using condenser microphones, they may not be performing to the best of their abilities. And so I would switch to using a dynamic microphone. I think that getting the best vocal performance is worth sacrificing a little bit of microphone quality for. And now let's quickly compare the large diaphragm condenser to a dynamic microphone. Here's the large diaphragm condenser. I I won't stay up waiting for you, 'cause you know how I adore you. Won't you love me too? And here's the dynamic mic. I won't stay up waiting for you, 'cause you know how I adore you. Won't you love me too? You can hear that there's a huge contrast between the two, much more contrast than between the large diaphragm condenser and small diaphragm condenser. The dynamic mic is a lot duller and a lot less detailed, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad microphone choice. One of the biggest problems when recording vocals is the vocalist's pitching. Now we can fix this in the mixing stage using pitch correction, but it's always best to try and get this right from the start. There are 4 easy ways that we can try to get a singer to sing on pitch. Number 1, you can just tell them that they're pitchy. And this is only going to work on a singer that you know isn't going to be highly offended by you telling them that. You also have to make sure that you're not going to ruin someone's confidence. It works best for singers who have a basic knowledge of music theory, so know what you mean when you say you're slightly sharp or you're slightly flat. We need to be specific when telling them where they're pitchy. So for example, we'd say, during this line, you're slightly sharp. Please can we try recording that again? Number 2, we can ask the singer to change their mouth shape. Vowel sounds affect the sound of pitching, and vowel sounds are dependent upon your mouth shape. If you get a rounder vowel sound, you need a more open mouth with more resonant space, and this gives us a fuller but slightly flatter sound. The other way round, if we want a tighter vowel sound, we use a less open mouth and get a slightly sharper, brighter sound. For example, if I sang the sound E in a round and tight mouth shape, you can hear the difference. E, E. These were both sung on exactly the same note, but the first full sound sounded a bit flatter than the second. Number 3, we can ask the singer to change the mood. Pitching is psychological. If we ask the singer to sing with a smile on their face, they'll move their mouth into a tighter shape and will get a slightly sharper sound, and vice versa. And so if you have a singer that's singing flat, ask them to sing with a smile on their face. If you have a singer that's singing sharp, ask them to sing with a sadder face. And number 4, we can change the volume of the headphone mix. I did touch on this a little bit in a previous video, but if we increase the volume of a headphone mix, the singer's likely to try and compete with this volume and sing a bit sharper. And if we make the mix a bit quieter in their headphones, they're likely to try and shy away and sing flatter. So those are some ways that we can try and encourage a singer to sing more in tune. Now let's have a look at the characteristics of a vocal that can affect the vocal performance. When I talk about vocal performance, I'm talking about the nuances of a vocal that give a recording character and charisma. We can't alter this after recording, and so it's really important that we get this right. There's no set of rules to achieving the best vocal performance. I can't sit here and tell you what's going to work best vocally for your song. But there are 4 elements that we can think about when trying to improve a singer's performance. Number 1, emotion. This is something that can make or break a song, and it's something that only comes from the singer. We best get this emotion when an artist or a singer is emotionally comfortable, and that's why it's so important to look after our artists. If the singer's struggling to portray this emotion, we can do something as simple as asking them what the meaning behind the song is. This makes them emotionally vulnerable with us, and so more comfortable expressing themselves. If they're still really struggling, we can tell them to change the dynamics. Sing some words a little louder or some a little quieter, or start off a line quietly and gradually get louder. Or they can change the timing of some of the words. Sing some a little late or some a little early. These tricks will give the vocals emotion. Number 2, pronunciation. Pronunciation can make a huge difference to vocal performance. I like to think that ABBA would not have been half as successful if they all had British accents. Sometimes in singing, we need to pronounce words differently to how we'd say them. For example, with the word love, we wouldn't sing love, we'd sing love to give us a more open sound. Now, sometimes asking your artist to sing in a different accent may make them feel silly. But what we should do in this situation is ask them to sing in the accent just for one take, and then we can play this take back to them and show them what a difference it makes. I personally always struggled singing Avril Lavigne songs until I realised that I needed to adopt her accent to make the song work. Number 3, emphasis. The way we emphasise words affects the energy of the song. In general, the more emphasis, the more energy. And normally it's the beginning of words that need emphasising more. To get a singer to emphasise more, we can use phrases such as, "Can you sing this with more energy, please?" Or, "Please can you try singing this a bit more aggressively?" If these don't work, we can ask singers to simply sing words, parts of words, or certain phrases louder. And number 4, timbre. The timbre of the vocal can affect the feel of the performance, and how a vocalist projects their voice can affect this. If there's little projection, so the singer's singing quietly, we'll get a more intimate, vulnerable sound. If there's more projection, so they sing louder, we get a bigger, stronger sound, perhaps a sound that we'll want to use for the chorus of our song. But we do need to be careful when asking a singer to project more, as some may tend to get a bit shouty. We can also change the way we use the microphone to alter this timbre. For example, if a singer stands close to the microphone, we'll get that more intimate sound, and the vocals will sound really close to the listener. If they stand further away, the vocals will sound as though they're in the middle of the mix and strong. And if the singer stands really far away, the vocals will sound in the background and weak. However, this may be the perfect sound for your backing vocals. These are the main things to listen for in vocal performance. It's really important that we stop the vocalist and suggest these changes when recording. And the more specific we can be when suggesting changes, the better. Again, this is something that processing can't fix, so it's vital that we get this right. When recording, we want to make sure that we have enough takes. We want to have at least enough takes to be able to comp the main vocal, and I would recommend having a minimum of 4. When comping, you want to choose the vocal parts with the most charisma, and not necessarily the most technical accuracy. And this is because we can process vocals to make them technically perfect, but processing can't add charisma. It is also ideal to be able to record vocal doubles. But if you don't have time to do this, not to worry. I've made a video all about creating artificial vocal doubles, which I will leave a link to in the description. I'm also going to make a video all about harmonies and how to create artificial harmonies as well, so make sure you look out for that. And then after all this, you can begin to process your mix. Thank you ever so much for watching my video. I hope you found it helpful and useful. Please let me know what you thought in the comments, and if there are any other videos you would like to see in the future. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and I will see you again soon.